What's up guys, Hardy Aquariums coming in hot with a video talking about ancient Egypt and the history of fish keeping. Stay tuned. Let's start off by talking about a little town in Egypt called Oxyrhynchus. This town is located right next to the Nile River. Oxyrhynchus is actually named after a fish that has to do with ancient Egyptian mythology. The ancient god Osiris is the god of the afterlife in ancient Egyptian mythology. This god actually had his penis eaten by a species of fish in the Nile River. I said his penis was eaten by a fish. Although they aren't sure exactly what fish ate his penis, there is much speculation that it actually was the elephant fish. This fish is kept in common aquaria throughout the United States and the world, and actually Mr. Czup had one, and it was awesome. Osiris was the god of the afterlife, but this god you're looking at here is named Anubis. And yes, you guessed it, the plant Anubias is actually named after the god Anubis, who was the god of mummification. Now, that was all just about mythology and ancient Egyptian gods, but didn't have much to do with fish keeping. Now let's talk about how the ancient Egyptians actually kept fish and where you could find some of their ponds. Before, we talked about Sumerians and how keeping a pond was a common occurrence. Even the poorest workers could afford land and ponds. But in ancient Egypt, it was quite different. Only the rich and the powerful could have ponds, and they weren't just kept for food. They actually kept ornamental fish in the ponds. And upon their burials in the pyramids and tombs, they would actually have pictures of their ponds buried with them so that they can enjoy their gardens and ponds in the afterlife. Now this is actually one of those paintings that was buried with an ancient Egyptian king named Nebamun, and you can see his gardens here, nice trees, and in the middle was his pond. Now you can see some birds and fish and plants in the pond. The Egyptian blue lotus was a very common plant that was put into these ponds. And during the Persian occupation of Egypt, the pink lotus was introduced. Ponds were also homes to migrating water birds. To close out, I want to talk about one fish in particular from the Nile, and that is called the Nile perch. Here you see a ginormous Nile perch and this stoked person right next to it. The Nile perch is actually being fished for game in the Nile River right now. I have no idea if it's endangered or what. It looks like it would be fun as heck to catch. But one little interesting piece of information about the Nile perch is that it's also called the Victoria perch from Lake Victoria. However, the perch is not native to Lake Victoria, and the name is kind of misleading. So now you know that, if you're ever on Jeopardy or something. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one, and I will see you next time. All credit goes to the rightful people who uploaded those pictures to Wikipedia. I don't own those pictures, so let it be known.